What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Swanky Disc Golf. Today, we're going to be counting down our favorite MVP discs. This is what we believe to be the best MVP discs out there. My name is Luke. I'm joined by Josiah and Reed, and we're going to do this a little bit differently. We're actually going to be drafting our 5 favorites. It's going to be draft style, like NFL, NBA. If I pick one, they're not allowed to pick it. I can't wait to get into this. We love MVP discs. They're innovating like nobody else. They're super cool discs out there to talk about. We can't wait to hear what you guys' favorite MVP discs are. Before we jump into it, I want to give a big shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Vessi. I'm sure you guys have heard of Vessi by now, but if you haven't, they are the absolute best shoe for disc golf out there. We particularly love the Vessi Stormburst high tops. They're super grippy, super comfortable, and most importantly, super waterproof. They're the most waterproof disc golf shoe you can pick up. We rock Vessis for pretty much every occasion, but we've specifically been loving them for disc golf. We play a lot of early morning rounds where the grass is completely covered in dew, or we also often, we're amateur disc golfers, so we're very often throwing into the beautiful water feature on our courses, and Vessis have come in clutch so many times. You can go to vessi.com/SwankyDG. That is vessi.com/SwankyDG to get 15% off your first order. I seriously can't recommend them enough. We've been seeing everybody else wear them as well. We actually just took a visit up to Denver, Colorado, hung out with Jesse at Trash Panda. He was rocking the Vessis. It seems like everybody we run into these days is getting on the Vessi train because it genuinely does just save you loads of trouble from getting your feet wet every time you play disc golf. Be sure to pick them up. Use our link in the description and get 15% off your first order. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, guys. We have videos like this coming out every single week. We have actually already talked about our 5 favorite discs from Axiom. You can check that video out as well. And without any further ado, let's jump into drafting our 5 favorite MVP molds. I can't wait for this one. These molds are absolutely incredible. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right. This is how it's going to go down. We're going to start with Josiah, and we're going to snake draft. Josiah's going to get the number 1 pick. Whatever he picks, Reed and I cannot pick. And then we'll go to Reed and then myself, and we'll snake back and forth. Go ahead and start us off, Josiah.
All right. I'm going to go with my number 1 pick is a disc that is actually my favorite disc of all time. And I know.
Goodness.
So,
The 101.
Believe it or not, the 101 of all companies and all discs is actually an MVP disc. And because I think this will show up in your guys' list, I can't afford to let it go. So I'm taking the Reactor. Mid-range, 5.5, negative 0.5, 1.5. We're going to start out strong with the complicated decimal system here in their flight numbers. So get used to that. I specifically like the Reactor in their fission plastic. It flies a little bit more flippy. I typically like slightly more stable discs than most people do just in general. So this one to me is just my go-to mid-range, what most people will use a hex or a buzz for, but the fission plastic makes it a little bit flippier, so it works great for me out at the elevation I do here. But yeah, can't let that one go to you guys, so I'm taking that one first.
Yeah.
That's a great pick. Yeah. Reactor is
Super
absolute
valid.
money. The Glow Reactors, a little bit more overstable. They feel so good. I'm a buzz man myself, but I did bag a Glow Reactor for a while. I absolutely loved it. I lost it, or else I'd still probably bag it. Absolutely incredible disc. Great pick, and would definitely have been up towards the top of my list. Reed, what do you got?
I agree. I think the Reactor's probably the 101 for most people out of MVP, but my 101 is still on the board, and I am going to snag it. So many good molds to choose from still, but this one, I know it won't make it back to me if I let it go, so I'm going to take it.
Probably
it is the Glitch. We knew it was going to be an early.
Right.
We knew it was going to be a round 1 draft pick. The Glitch is an icon. It's an icon in disc golf. 17, is it 00? 1700? I believe those are the numbers.
1700.
Yes.
It is.
And it kind of just opened the floodgates into this one speed, mega high glide kind of just stays in the air forever type of one speed. That really hadn't been done a lot before, and certainly not made it into a ton of bags. So the glitch just opened the floodgates, and it found its way into all of our hearts, and it has become the model for the Spore and many others. MVP actually has, or MVP Axiom Streamline has a few more molds like this now as well. So the prototype had to be my first round pick for sure.
It definitely, I mean, it started such a crazy trend. Every company after the glitch came out was like, we need to come out with a glidey one speed immediely.
Yes.
And it's true. And it's been imitated many times now. We have different discs. I do love the Spore. I think I might like throwing the Spore's Discmania's kind of glitch copy. It's a little bit different though. It's a little bit more stable. I think I like to throw golf shots with the Spore more, but as far as like a hybrid catch disc, I don't think anyone's actually been able to compete with the glitch. Like they come out with similar discs, but I think the glitch still does it best. It was the first, and I still think it's the best. So absolutely a number one draft pick.
I was at a tag league just a couple hours ago, and while waiting for some of the cards to finish, there were two guys that literally were just throwing a glitch back and forth for like 15 minutes waiting for the last card to come in.
Yeah, it's great practice too.
Yeah.
A lot of good habits there. All right, my number one pick still on the board. I don't know if you guys would pick it super high up, but I do fully believe that this is MVP's one of their top 3 molds, and that is going to be the Uplink. Going the Uplink 5.5,
Yeah.
-3.5. So beginner friendly, super amateur friendly, but you can obviously also use it at any skill level. Super shot shapeable. Really great for shaping shots. I absolutely love this disc. Fits so nice in the hand. Mid-ranges and putters are pretty much the only thing that's going to be... like, drivers could go either way. I think there's a reason that MVP and Axiom's putters and mid-ranges are just more popular than their drivers. The overmolded rims, I've said it before on the channel, they don't sit well in my hand personally, but the Uplink and basically all of their mid-ranges are so nice, so comfy. Can't go wrong with the Uplink. And because we're snaking, I'm going to get my number 2 draft pick.
Okay, yes.
Also, back to back. And I wanted to pick the glitch first, was probably going to be my first pick. So we're going to pull an audible. And I have a couple options. There's a couple really good discs on here, obviously. And I'm going to go with a sort of darker horse pick for myself. I just mentioned I don't love drivers, but 9 speeds aren't that bad. 9 speeds are a little bit more subtle. The Axiom Insanity is a great example of that. It doesn't feel like super over exaggerated, especially when you get, they have these crazy like 14.5 speeds and the rims are huge. I'm picking made that a lot longer than it needed to be, but I'm going to pick the Tesla 9.5 -1.2.
Interesting.
The Tesla, I feel like, is a staple. If you're an all MVP player, you are probably bagging the Tesla. Super good control driver, 9.5 -1.2. Pretty true to the numbers. I say all the time, I don't know why this is, but 9.5 -1.2 discs tend to be like really understable. I think of like some of the Escapes, some Undertakers even, the Zeta's Moon, the CD1, I believe it is, from Discmania. They're all like way more understable than -1.2. But the Tesla's pretty accurate to those numbers. And the overmold rim, that is as far as an overmold rim can go for me in that 9-speed slot to where I still kind of like it. I know that just totally threw off what I said about putters and mid-ranges, but I think the putters that I love might not get picked. They might get picked, but they might not get picked, so it might come back around to
They
me.
might drop down the board, huh? Counting on that.
Yeah, so I'm going with the Tesla at my second pick.
Okay. I like it. I love the Uplink sneaking into the first round. Crazy.
Yeah.
But
Uplink's phenomenal.
people sleep on the Uplink so much. I am between a rock and a hard place here with my second pick because My next two favorite discs is probably Glitch, and then these two discs for me, and then the Reactor, which is already gone. So we're in a good spot. I'm glad these two are available for me. I just don't really know how to choose between them.
Yeah, because I'm taking the other one.
I know you are. So I know you love these as much as I do. So I'm gonna take this one because I know Josiah would take it for sure if I don't, and it's gonna be the MVP Detour, the James Conrad mid-range, the big brother to the uplink, the little brother to the Reactor in this lineup. Absolutely phenomenal disc. We had the pleasure of running some of these for a recent tournament, and they came out phenomenal. And I have one in the bag, and I think it is are those Neutron? Is that plastic? I believe it is. Neutron Detours?
Might be Fission.
Oh,
Fission?
Fission.
Are those Fission? Okay, maybe.
Fission.
I think I want to say
I could find the info, but
I want to
they
say
might be
it's
Fission.
Neutron because the Fission is a little bit like tackier, right? Generally, but maybe I'm wrong.
Softer, tackier.
But those detours are freaking phenomenal. They what are the numbers on the detour? It's a 5-speed. Is it 5.5 -2.1 or something like that? Let me see. I can pull it. 5.5 -2.1.
5.5 -2.1.
Absolutely
they are
spot
Neutron.
on. Yeah, and they are so good. They fly like a tick less stable than, or a tick, less stable than a hex, but more overstable than an uplink. Traditionally, I think for the most part they are, but it gets close there for sure. The Detour is one of the most comfortable mids I've ever held. Absolutely love it. Go James Conrad. Thanks for bringing that one into the world.
Yep.
Yeah. Super good rocking a hard place pick there, Reed.
Thank you. Yeah.
The Detour is great.
Yeah, I think I
It was
executed
a fan
well
favorite
there.
too. It was everybody was picking up the Detour at the tournament that we ran.
Oh, yeah.
Where we had a ton of MVP molds, and the Detour I think definitely went first out of pretty much everything.
I think it's to you back to back, Josiah. I think it's.
I don't know if Reed picked the rock or the hard place, but I'm going to take the other one, which I'm fairly confident was going to be the Trail. 10-5 -1-1.
The Trail was the hard
Straight
place.
Flying, yes. Straight flying hybrid distance driver. Stable, understable. Could go either way. I think it's a little bit more stable than these numbers suggest. I think, honestly, in my opinion, once you get past an 8-speed, it's impossible to have a dead straight disc. I think just once you get past 7 or 8 speeds, it just isn't really possible. You'll get some S turns or a little bit of turn or a little bit of fade, but I don't think...
For us amateurs.
Yes, for us amateurs.
Of course.
Luke, you'll like this. On the MVP website, if you look up the Trail, they have a Brandon Sanderson quote, literally as part of the description of
Shout out to Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah, as the MVP Trail. So, this is a phenomenal disc, really good added into their lineup, just to have something that's got a little stability, but also some understability for those amateur arms. Really good option and complement to the rest of their lineup, and it's also a really unique disc. So that's going to be my second pick, and for my third pick, I have lately been a huge fan of throwing putters, and I'm going to take
MVP's got the best ones.
Spin. Yes.
The
spin. So, yeah, I really love super flippy throwing putters these days, partly because of the elevation where I live, but also partly just, in fact, I love turnovers for putters. Like, that's just the way I do it. I'll use my approach discs for something super stable, but if I have a super flippy putter, I can throw it on my slight hyzer flat and it'll turn over, or I just put it on a little bit more hyzer if I need it to just ride straight. So the spin does that really well for me, so I really like that. So that'll be my third pick. I think that's a really good disc that might be a little slept on sometimes for MVP. Maybe not as much as late, but at one point
a sleeper
it was.
pick, but well deserved in the top 3. Numbers coming in at 2.5 for -2.0.
Yeah.
I have very fond memories of the R2 spin. That thing was so sweet, like slightly more overstable than a traditional spin. And just, I think understable putters are just slept on in general. I feel like not many people, we talk about overstable approach discs all the time, but not as many people, I should say, are like, yes, I love me my super understable 2 or 3 speed.
Yeah.
But they're so useful sometimes. They're
So
really,
true.
really useful. And the spin is one of the best. Absolutely.
Yeah, crazy order that we've picked so far for MVP putters. What have we taken? Just glitch and spin so far in their putter lineup?
Putters,
That's crazy given what they have on the board. But they do have, like you said, a super strong putter lineup. And the glitch doesn't even really count.
They're all phenomenal.
I am going to go for my third round pick. I'm going to go niche for the first time, I feel like. And this isn't really super niche, but it's definitely not as well known as anything picked so far, save for maybe the spin. But I'm going to go with the Volt. The Volt is my favorite driver from MVP outside of the Trail. The Volt comes in at an 8 speed, 8.5, -0.52. So it slots into the T-Bird, the F2 type of disc, that the Cookie, the Instinct, it slots in kind of there. But unlike discs like the F2 and the Instinct that tend to kind of right out of the gate have a little bit more turn, the Volt I find is a little bit more overstable. The only Volt I've ever actually owned was a Bendy James Volt. That's my first exposure
Shout
to
out
the
to
Volt.
Bendy James.
Yes, James Conrad. I think it was around the
time to be alive.
I think it was around the time that they signed James, and it was before the Nomads came out. That was his first disc, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I
think you're correct on that.
The Volts may have been James's first signature disc. I think the Bendy Jameses predated the World Champ Envies even. So shout out to the Volt, kind of an OG when you think about it. The Volt is great.
It's a very James Conrad disc. Because he came from, he's a hyzer flip machine. Great pick.
Yeah, I think it does fit James's game really well, because he has this way of looking like he's just throwing his entire body down the fairway,
launching a missile.
But then he really puts a lot of finesse on the disc, and he can do a lot with more understable discs. He doesn't have to hammer destroyers and stuff like that all the time down the fairway. So yeah, the Volt does fit his game. And as a result, it fits a lot of AMS games too. So if you haven't thrown a Volt, go check it out.
Should say it's not like super understable.
No, it's an overstable disc.
More straight flying.
But it is it's more straight usable than like the Terra or a Firebird, something like that.
Yeah, and when you see James Conrad throw it, it seems like that's a flip to flat, like kind of get a little maybe right turn out of it. But that's to say that's all I'm saying. It's a perfect James Conrad type of disc. Super great disc.
Definitely.
Awesome. Now I'm getting 2 picks here.
That's right.
Which I think it's time to go down some ticks in speed. I have 2 picks here, and I am very happy with both of them because they're both still on the board. And the first one I'm just going to pick for, I don't have to pick it this high. I don't think anybody else is going to pick it, but I'm picking it this high to give it some confidence. When you pick that, NBA teams do that sometimes.
Put some respect on this disc's name.
Yeah. I'm going to pick the Ion. The Ion's incredible. I putted with the Ion for a long time. This is my number 3 pick. 2.5, 3.0, 1.5. More overstable. I definitely prefer more overstable putters. Has a kind of deep hand feel. I wouldn't say as deep as some other putters. But also I would not say it has a shallow hand feel. Super, super fun putter that I think really also gets slept on. It's a great thrower. My big thing was, as an amateur, I wanted to find a disc that I felt really comfortable throwing as well as putting with, just to get value out of it. And the stability on the Ion is so nice. You can really, really rip on ions, and they're going to fly straight. They're not going to turn over on you, even being that 2.5 speed. I feel like they're the most comparable to just beloved putters like the PA3 and stuff like that, but in the MVP lineup. And I think it's overshadowed a bit by the Nomad, which when James Conrad first started playing for MVP, I believe he was putting with ions, and they wanted to get him his own disc. And it's kind of a retooled, less overstable ion, really. I prefer the ion, love the ion. The R2 ion is such a good thrower. They're not super new hot item discs right now. It's nobody. I don't think it's anybody's Tour Series disc, so it's going to be slept on. But I'm still going to pick it at number 3. My number 4 pick will be a little bit more well-known, well-beloved, and I'm going with the Deflector. The Deflector,
nice,
wild. If you know MVP, you know the Deflector, and you absolutely love the Deflector, and you're leaning on that disc heavily in your game. That might not be true. Let me know what your favorite MVP disc is in the comments below. But the people that I know who are like diehard MVP fans absolutely love the Deflector. The numbers are 5, 3.5, 0, 4. Super beefy, mid-range. I feel like they have the entropy, and the entropy's great. But as far as, I don't know, personal comfort in the hand, and also even stability. The couple entropies I've thrown, I had a hard time with the stability. I love the Deflector. I love how it fits in the hand. This is a pretty subjective list at the end of the day. But again, I'm going to emphasize overmold mid-ranges and putters are the best. And it's tricky to find an overmolded mid-range that feels good. If you don't know what I'm talking about, pick up. I mean, Ezra Robinson loves the Malta, but I feel like nobody else on the planet likes the Malta. That's not true. People love the Malta. It's difficult to make an overstable mid-range that feels good. The Malta has a very squared off kind of rim. There's a lot of Discmania overstable mid-ranges. I think of like the Mutant. Discs like the overstable mid-ranges feel weird. I don't love the hand feel of the Buzz OS. I personally have just had a difficult time finding an overstable mid-range that feels like a normal disc, and the Deflector does, and it has it in spades. It's so good. Absolutely incredible.
Nice picks. I enjoy the Ion pull. I was literally thinking about picking the Ion this round if you didn't take it. I figured that you might save it for the last pick, and I was going to snipe it from you. You did not, so well done.
It's too good.
I applaud you for having the foresight to take the Ion. I think that's the best putting putter in their lineup, in my opinion. So, yeah,
I love it.
Love the Ion.
Hunter Thomas from Foundation was forced to putt with him. I think he lost a bet or something.
Yeah, he said that Simon was not going to go to MVP.
Yes,
he said there's no way Simon goes to MVP. So
that's a crazy take.
And MVP shipped him ions.
That was so good.
Yeah, that's hilarious. In hindsight, that sounds so silly. He is MVP now.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was a wild take. I have a couple of different directions I can go here, and I think I'm just gonna go. Thank you for introducing my pick in your discussion of your pick, Luke, because I'm gonna go with the entropy. Very similar to the Deflector, but in my experience, it is more overstable. It is slower. It is generally more in hand feel. It is more, that overstable approach disc and less what you're looking for, Luke, which is that kind of more backhand and kind of the disc that you can throw like a normal disc and not try to just do forehand approach things with, lots of Anheuser or slamming it on approach shots.
Yes, yeah.
But the entropy for me has always been a really good kind of overstable version of the zone. Like before the Zone OS, before things like that, there were a lot of overstable approach disc entering the market a few years ago. Yeah. And before that, the entropy was like the go-to one for me. That was, if I needed something that was more overstable than a zone, it was an entropy. It was that thing that, sometimes zones as lovely as they are, they can get a little flippy on you sometimes in certain situations. And
They
so
can get beat in.
The entropy
For
comes
sure.
in, and you're never beating that sucker in. That guy is overstable
No,
till his last breath. So I'm partial to the entropy, at least in this lineup over the deflector. So very happy that it fell to me, and it's rounding out my lineup just nicely.
Nice.
Yeah.
The experience I had with the entropy was expecting a zone, and I can't remember the plastic names, all of the plastic names for MVP, but it was the more glossy plastic. I think that's neutron, or
If it was see-through,
neutron,
it was
or prism plasma or something like that.
Or proton.
Yeah, it was a very premium like glossy plastic, and it was so overstable that in my mind I was like, this doesn't feel anything like any overstable approach disc that I'm used to, being more experienced with like zones, pigs, at that time even the tactic, not like the razor claw. It probably was similar to like a razor claw, super beefy, really great disc though. Like I said, overmolds in 5-speed or below are, I think, the comfiest discs on the planet, truly.
All right.
Heck yeah.
So I feel like I do not have the same experience with those two discs that you guys just described, because so first of all, I love the Malta. Second of all,
Wild.
I hate the entropy. That never even crossed my mind. And the reason when I think of the entropy, I think of like a Jawbreaker Zone or a Beaten Pig or those flippy approach discs. I feel like it never. So I don't know what you're talking about. Of like, hey,
so
I need
many
something.
People have different experiences.
I know.
With discs like that.
And maybe I just never touched
you
these
had a
discs
certain type
because
of plastic or a really beat in one.
Yeah, I like. So for me, like you comparing it to a Razor Claw is wild, because that has been my approach disc for like 4 years, and I don't know if I'll ever go to something different. And I'm like, I did not even know that the entropy could come close to what a Razor Claw could do, because I always thought like the Exo Soft or Exo Hard Tactics, those beat in super quickly, and I only liked
super fast
the Razor Claw 3 because it was made in C-line plastic. That's the only one of the tactics that I would throw. So it's just wild to me that you guys are describing this where I'm like, I do not understand this experience you guys have, because I have something completely different with the same disc.
That's funny.
Yeah. I might have told this story before, but it happens. These experiences happen all the time. Where we were reviewing a disc, and I was playing with someone we've never played with before, just a friend of ours. And we were describing this disc, and we were like, "Yeah, it's really understable. Like it will turn to the right if you're a right-handed backhand player." And he was like, "Oh, so just like a destroyer." And we were both looked at him like, what? And he was like a destroyer, and we're like, I don't think you know what a destroyer is. And he's like, what do you it's my favorite disc. And he pulls it out of his bag, and it's just this absolute beat to shreds DX destroyer that he found in a pond.
That's hilarious.
And in his mind, he's like, I mean, this is what destroyers are. That's his only experience with the destroyer. And
Super
if anyone
flippy.
asks him, the destroyers are super flippy discs.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny.
It is funny.
That happens. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
It happens.
And sometimes it's just the type of plastic it is.
We need to get you a better entropy.
All right, Josiah.
I know. I'm here to try. I'm here to try new approach discs, because I throw them a lot. I'm gonna go with the MVP Relay, which is a disc that I think is underrated in their lineup. I don't think a lot of people know that it exists. To some, I'm sure they know it exists, but I feel like I've
you know it exists. But
yeah,
to the
if you
public,
throw, but a lot of MVP fans, like if you ask me, a lot of my MVP discs are Axiom or Streamline
Honestly,
too. Like
yeah.
I kind of lump them all together. Like some people just don't understand like which one is which type of deal, and most people sleep on the Relay because I think it's a little flippier than a Crave in my opinion, but they're very similar in what they end up doing. And so I think most people will just take the Crave because that is way more popular of a disc right now.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think the Relay kind of gets slipped on. Yeah, no, Crave is awesome. And I think the Relay is a really good complement. It's just a little bit flippier. So I think it does a really good job just kind of fitting that, hey, I'm trying to move into some fairway drivers and I need something flippy. And that's a good starting point for people. And then my last pick is actually going to be one disc that I recommend a lot for beginners in general when they're trying to move up to faster speed discs. And that is the Wave. 11.5,
Nice.
-2.2.
I was wondering when this one was going to get picked.
I think that's by far the best distance driver in the MVP lineup.
So that's for sure. No, I would agree with you. I mean, I don't think I've ever touched some of these 13 speeds, and in my experience with
what about
MVP,
the 14.5 speeds?
Now hang on a second. Now you got me thinking. But in my experience, MVP's numbers usually are slightly more stable than what they suggest. And so I think the Wave is the only one that I feel is actually true to those numbers, and the rest of their 11 speeds are just way too stable. And so the Wave is a really good disc that I think that if you're a beginner, amateur, or just, more experienced, it's just a good all-around driver. You can find a use for it in almost all situations. And so that one, it's so unique to a point that I think that a lot of people will be like, oh, it's like a Firebird or like a Destroyer. I don't know many other discs from other companies that you can compare to a Wave. I think the Wave is the disc that other companies might compare it to, type of deal. But yeah, that'll complete mine. If you knew me from 4 years ago, you'll be surprised that all of the discs I chose right now are on the more unstable side, because I'm known for throwing
he's 10,000
more stable
feet
discs
in the air in Colorado.
That
where was
play
the
a factor,
motion,
yes.
Josiah? Your ace disc. The motion didn't make your list. That's crazy.
No, man, I've moved on from the motion. I throw an ESP Raptor, which is actually a flippy Raptor.
Yeah,
exactly. We're converting him to flippy.
Yeah. The Wave is a hard comp. It's like definitely more understable than most popular 11 speeds, like the Wraith or the Drive, now really popular. Even the Grace, I would say it's more understable than the Grace. It's more. I want to say it's more overstable than the DD, but it's kind of close. But it's like it's
like the Scorch.
Flight.
It flies like
kind of like
Scorch.
the Scorch. Maybe, I don't know, because it does have. I feel like it has the -2.2 is really accurate. Like it has a big flip up, but then it also fades.
Comes back. Yeah,
I don't know.
It's very interesting. The Scorches I've seen just turn over.
Yeah, the Crystal Sparkle Flex Scorches from Ledgestone a few years ago fly like a Wave. But I just remember when the Scorch came out, everyone was like, ooh, this is kind of like the Wave. So that points to what you're saying, Josiah, which is it is the comp. It's not like no one says the Wave flies like a Scorch.
Yeah.
But I think there are the fact that it's hard to find a comp for it is actually fascinating. Because disc golf is so saturated with molds at this point. So, good pick. I was never gonna pick the Wave. I don't like any distance drivers from MVP. The Photon.
I say the Wave's great. I don't bag it.
To your point about Josiah about the other 11 speeds, I want to know James Conrad's reason for coming out with the Zenith. It's funny because its numbers suggest that it should be more overstable than a Photon, but every Photon I've ever touched is a beefcake, like Force from Discraft type of beefcake. So I wonder if he made the Zenith and the numbers are just more accurate and it's actually a flippier Photon. I don't know, but I just wonder because the Photon is crazy overstable in my opinion. Every Photon I've ever touched.
Yeah, that's... Sounds about right for MVP.
So I'm not picking the Photon, obviously. we're gonna scroll.
You're going to those 14.5 speeds, eh?
Yeah, we're gonna take the Wind Dragon. I'm just kidding. We're gonna go way down the list to my number 2 putter, not the Ion, but the Ohm. The Ohm is a little bit of a different vibe than the Ion.
I love Ohm.
Yeah, the Ohm is a fun one, and there's so many to pick from. Like you said, the Nomad. I've definitely thrown the Nomad before. The Atom is a one that could have gotten picked here. The Watt is still somehow not picked, but the Ohm to me was the only other one besides the Ion that I've ever really thrown for an extended amount of time. I really enjoyed the hand feel and the fact that it stays in the air. As someone that putted with PA3s for years, ohms were a really fun change of pace for me for a little bit because they stay in the air, and they've got just a little bit of a deeper hand feel. So that I enjoy the ohm. Not really a thrower for me. I never really picked it up and threw it off the tee. But as a putting putter, the ohm deserves its respect. So I picked it as to fill out my lineup, and like Luke said, just show the disc some love. Yeah, people need to appreciate the ohm.
100%. Yeah, really, their putters could just make up my entire top 5 list. Just all of their putters. I mean, they have more than 5 putters, but they're so good. They're so good. So, some of them are really similar to each other. But they're still, I mean, they're all slightly unique and really great. So now I'm on to my last pick before I say it again. Don't forget to subscribe for new videos every single week. Let us know what your favorite MVP disc is in the comments below. And this is a tough one. I'm going with a putter. I'm now sort of between, honestly, like 3 discs, but 2 discs specifically. But I think I'm going to keep it a little more OG, and I'm going to go with the Atom. The Atom's such a good disc. It's the same flight numbers as an Envy, maybe slightly different mold, but back when James Conrad hit the holy shot and you couldn't buy an Envy for $50 like on the black market, it was crazy. The Atom was there, and it was faithful, and it was such a good disc, such a good throwing putter. I prefer to throw with it more than I like putting with it, but the numbers 3301 are, I think, just some of the best numbers that you can get for a pure like throwing putter. And we're amateurs. We play these short courses all the time where the farthest hole is 250 to like 275 feet. You can play an entire round with the Atom and have an incredible time. Great disc.
Shout out to,
guys.
I think our first starter set challenge at Lula.
Yeah.
I won by making a putt with an Atom from basically in the creek.
The Atom, let's go.
There you
go. I forgot about that.
Shout out to the honorable mentions of like the Nomad and the Watt. Crazy. Yeah. That's probably a lot of people's favorite discs right there. Let us know in the comments below again. And thank you so much for watching. We will see you in the next one. Stay swanky.